Today we are going to learn how to find the volume of cylinders and cones. And just a reminder of what we did before. We had rectangular prisms. And to get the volume of a rectangular prism, you just did L times W. Basically, you're finding the area of the base and multiplying that times the height. Right, so LW, which is the base, times the height. And if you divide this volume by 3, you're going to get the volume of a pyramid. Right? Given that these two figures here have the same base and the same height, this is going to be, remember, the height for the pyramid should be the one that goes from this point here down to the base, perpendicular to the base. And again, for this one, let's call this W or L, and then this W, and then this as H. So you find the area of the base, multiply that times the height. So you're doing the base area times the height, and then you're multiplying by 1/3 to get a pyramid shape. Okay, and you can see a similar relationship with a triangular base. So this is a triangular pyramid. Okay, you find the area of the base, which is going to be B times, I'm using L as this height here, so that I can use H for the height of this figure. And again, the area of the base part is B times L times 1/2. That's the base. And you multiply this times the height to get the volume of the triangular prism. And if you want to get the volume of the pyramid with the same base and the height, you do the same thing that you did for the square pyramid. You just divide by 3. So I'm labeling these. And again, the height of the pyramid should be from this point here to the base, and it should be perpendicular to the base. So let's call that part as H. It's going to be B times L times 1/2, which is the red base. That times the height, and then you're doing divided by 3 or times 1/3. And notice that even though the shape of the base changed, so here it was a rectangle or a square, here and here. Here the bases are triangles. And for cylinders and cones, the bases are circles. But even though the bases changed, the concept is the same. So let me draw a cylinder here. I'm sure you can find or see the correlation between these. For the cylinder, we need the R. Okay, so this has a circular base, and it is going up by H. Let me make that in black here. So the concept again is the same. For this is kind of like a pure prism shape. So this one right here, this one right here, and this one right here are all similar. The only difference between these is that the shape of the base are different. So this one is a rectangle or a square. This one is a triangle. This one is a circle. But the concept for finding the volume is the same. So you find the area of the base. So the area of that base is going to be pi r squared. And you multiply that times the height. And that's how you find the volume of a cylinder. Okay, so the concept again is the same. You find the area of the base, and then you multiply that times the height. And since we know how to do this, I'm sure you'll know how to find the cone as well, because the relationship between cylinders and cones are the same as the relationship between these two and the relationship between these two. Right? The relationship between a rectangular prism and a rectangular pyramid, and the relationship between triangular prism and triangular pyramid, the same as the relationship between cylinders and cones. And what I mean is, I'll need to label this as R, and I'll need to put the height here. Again, the height for a cone is very similar to the pyramid. The height needs to come down to the base, and it needs to be perpendicular to the base. So we're not looking at the slant height here. We're not looking at this here. Okay, we're not looking at this green part. That we're using for surface area. For volume, we're using the blue height. Okay, and what I mean when I say that the relationship is similar is if I do the base pi r squared, again, that's the area of the base, times h, and if I just leave it there, it's going to be a cylinder. It's going to give me the volume of a cylinder. So if I want the volume of the cone, you'll need to divide this by 3. Okay, so the relationship between the rectangular prism and the rectangular pyramid was that for the pyramid, you divide it by 3, or multiply it by 1/3. And the same for triangular prism and triangular pyramid, you divide it by 3. So here, the relationship is the same. You divide the volume of the cylinder by 3 to get the volume of a cone. So these would be the formulas for finding the volume of a cylinder and a cone. But again, I don't want you to just memorize the formula, but understand the concept. If you understand the concept, really, you don't really even need to memorize the formula. Or even if you do forget the formula, you can always derive the formula in your head. The concept is, for a prism kind of shape, which is the ones that I've marked with a green star here, the prism kind of shape, you find the area of the base and multiply by the height. For a pyramid kind of shape, I'm marking it with a yellow star, okay, you multiply the base times the height and you divide by 3, or multiply by 1/3. Okay, so just remember that concept, and you should have no problem solving the volume of these shapes.